sunny day, sweeping the clouds away. On my way to where the air is sweet. Everybody knows that tune. Everyone has at some point in their life come across Sesame Street. Yes, Sesame Street has won over 189 Emmys, more than any TV series ever. And it reaches over 150 million children across the globe. That is Sesame Street. Where when I was young, I learned about sharing and socializing, and they had all these diverse characters. It was your ABCs and 1, 2, 3's. That's what I learned. And they had people of all different backgrounds. I mean, it was such a diverse cast and characters and different people. I mean, we had Susan and Gordon, a black couple. Luis and Maria, I think, were Puerto Rican. And then there was Bob and Mr. Hooper's store. They were white. And even the puppets were different shades. You had Ernie and Bert, Big Bird, Cookie Monster, and Grover. I mean, these were all like different. These were monsters. And you didn't even think about them being monsters. Because when we're little, we're thinking monsters are scary. When we're seeing monsters on Sesame Street, we're excited to see Cookie Monster and Grover. They had everything. They even had a dog that came later on. I was already older. A dog, a big giant Muppet dog named Barkley later to show the love of pets. And then Elmo came later on. I was already older, but I remember my kids liking Elmo. And then they had Rosita, who was a different type of monster, and she was bilingual, spoke Spanish, for the Latino culture. And even when I was younger, growing up, there was this black character, Muppet, Roosevelt Franklin. He would teach about the culture on Africa, and he'd be in the inner city schools, it kind of mimicking Cooley High. And it might have been some controversy or something back then. I didn't know. Nobody knew. What I understand, he's banned now, and they can't show him anymore, but it didn't matter to me. I mean, I loved it. Kermit the Frog tracing the letters with his finger and making the and remember Grover getting the orders wrong with the blue ball head guy. We didn't look at what color people were. We didn't look at if they spoke Spanish, if they didn't speak Spanish. They had puppets that looked like us. They had puppets that looked like cartoon characters. The adults. Later on when I got older, I was excited watching that, self-acceptance type thing coming on where little black girl puppet, loving her hair, and they had a song, She Loves Her Hair, just the self-acceptance of who you are. And she had Afro puffs, and she had braids, and she had extensions, she had pigtails, and it was fun. That's what Sesame Street was. And I know they started that, and they had a special needs Muppet, maybe 10, 15 years ago, named Julia, who was I think she had autism, and some people were outraged about it. The autism community, I'm ignorant to a lot of that stuff that goes on, so I understand. And they had a girl who was confined to a wheelchair, and she was working out in a chair, showing that she could still do things. And I understand. I get that, because kids do come across that, and Sesame Street has a way of showing and partaking in things that are changing in cultures and things that kids see that are in their preschools or in kindergarten or pre-K. My thing is, are they going too far when they start to try and teach social things that are going on in our culture? Do they tackle social injustices? Do they take on the AIDS and HIV awareness, or, to ease the Middle East tension? This is what they are doing on Sesame Street. And like I said, it's gotten away from the ABCs and 1, 2, 3's and sharing and a la peanut butter sandwiches and the magnificent Mumford, the counting, and, it starts getting a little twisted. I mean, I remember Snuffleupagus was the imaginary friend of Big Bird. And every time he would come around the adults like Gord and Bob and those guys, Big Bird would say, I want you to meet my friend Snuffy. And he'd bring him inside his house and they'd look around and then nobody was there. And so it's like, it was, oh, Big Bird, that's just your imaginary friend. But no, it wasn't his imaginary friend. He was actually really there. But then I think some parent organization wrote in and said, well, Big Bird's lying. You can't have him lying. It seems like he's telling lies. So now Snuffy's visible now and everyone can see him. And as a kid, I would love it. I would be like, oh, man, Gordon was there. And then right when Big Bird went out there, then Snuffy was gone. Man, I would love that. But now all of a sudden he's visible. Same thing with Cookie Monster. He's eating cookies and all of a sudden some health nuts write in and says that's unhealthy. You're teaching the kids there's obesity running rampant in America and you got Cookie Monster teaching kids to eat cookies. So now Cookie Monster starts eating vegetables and they call cookies a quote unquote sometimes food. So now Cookie Monster eats fruits and vegetables, which is nothing wrong with it. But at some point in time, when does a parent come in and say, hey, eat your fruits and vegetables, you could have a cookie? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Are we really at a point where Sesame Street is taking over? And we got to watch everything on Sesame Street so our kids can learn about any and everything that's going on in culture and in our world right now. I'm sorry. But now Sesame Street has 2 new puppets coming out, Elijah and Wes. A black father puppet and a son puppet who are going to be teaching on racial literacy and racial justice, apparently. And Elmo comes up and says, hey, how come you guys are black? Not in so many words, but Elmo says, how come your skin color is this? But, And so the father goes in and says, well, our skin color has more melanin and it's as if as parents, we can't teach our kids. I mean, wouldn't it have been just as easier for us to use Elmo and Cookie Monster or Ernie and Bert in their different shades? And I'm sure parents would have got the underlining message. I just didn't see any reason why we'd have to go all the way there. I get it. Like I said, I'm not for or against. My bottom line is, as parents, we need to be teaching our kids these things as opposed to letting Sesame Street create a narrative for our kids to go out there and... Okay. Oscar the Grouch back in 2009, and here's what I'm getting. And I'm not trying to talk about any particular party or anything like that, but we all know Oscar the Grouch is grouchy, he's grumpy. He was a good character because Oscar, who was rude, but we learned how through Oscar being rude to get along even though we had our differences. And it was funny. And we always wanted to know, oh, he's going down there. He's got trash. He loves trash. He loves like the rude things. He loves when somebody says something to him and he wants to say scram back. We get it. So that was Oscar the Grouch. Everybody knows. So Oscar is in a skit talking to Luis or Gordon or somebody like that. And I don't know where the conversation went, if they were talking about the news or what have you. And Oscar has a line that says, wow, this is ridiculous. I'm going to watch something like Fox News. Now there's a trashy news show. And it's like, you guys just actually took a shot at Fox News. Now, I don't care. either here nor there with that. But when you start doing this with Oscar the Grouch, and you start having Elmo and his dad do a skit on Black Lives Matter for the racial injustices of unarmed black men in America, I understand what you're doing, but are you putting in your child's head that Fox News is no good? Don't watch it. It's trash. And I don't want to go into this, the whole Black Lives. I don't want to go into that. But when you're putting this on Sesame Street, you're getting away from the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3's. I have 2 black sons and a black daughter. Okay. As a black African American, what you choose? I'll just say I'm black. I'm gonna explain to my children everything that goes on. I'm going to explain to them the police are here to help us. Yes, are there corrupt cops? Yes, there is. But I'm not going to get on the bandwagon of a certain party or a certain group and create that narrative and have my child follow those guidelines and say this is right and this is wrong. Sesame Street, for me, the bottom line is you stick to the sharing, the socializing, the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3's, and we're good. Now, I have to monitor my grandchildren watching Sesame Street. This was a tough one. I know. Leave me a comment in the comment section and let me know what you think. This is the Waters Rant.